And first.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Hi, Desiree. I'm so sorry.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you see the crazy eyes yet?
Yes, the circles.
Yes. Oh yeah. So yeah, we're having a good time though. We're somehow managing to keep it all together.
Good.
Yay.
Only
Yay.
a couple more hours to go, really.
That's right. That's right. Well, you look all fresh and, well rested.
That's what 3 hours of sleep would do for you.
Don't tempt me.
I know. That's so funny. So
yeah, that's what 3 hours of sleep would do for you.
Oh man, this is awesome. Okay, well I have the recording started. So
Okay.
if you want to go ahead and get started, you're welcome to, and then that way we'll have the recording ready to go.
Cool.
But yeah, so thank you so much.
Thank you. See y'all later. Hey, Blanca.
Good to see you.
What time is it for you?
Sorry?
What time is it for you?
I don't know. I think it's 10 past noon.
Awesome. It's 5 a.m. here.
Oh, you're looking fine for someone who's awake at 5 a.m.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started with branding. I'm going to share my screen. Hey, Michael, glad you're back. We're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, welcome to Go Brand Yourself. And this is a session all about how to brand yourself, how to get started, what to think about, and all those good things. So our hashtag is EC Global. So make sure that when you're tweeting about this awesome event, about this session, or whatever you have gone to, make sure to use hashtag EC Global. And on Twitter, I'm at Educator Alex. So let's go ahead and get started. This presentation and some tools to help you get started are all on my website, and that's educatoralexander.com. So you see it on the screen. You can either take a picture of this screen or a screenshot, or just jot it down right quick. So it's educatoralexander.com. So I'll give you a second to do that. See if I can move this over. Okay. So this is just a little bit about me. This little toolbar gets in my way. This is a little bit about me. My name is Desiree Alexander, and hello. If you have a question, I see we have some more participants came in. Yay! If you have a question, just unmute your mic and talk, or you can put it in the chat box. So I usually stop and answer questions whenever you have them. So just let me know. Well, I'm the regional director for Louisiana for the Associated Professional Educators of Louisiana, which is an educational nonprofit in Louisiana, and I'm the founder, consultant, or the founder CEO of Educator Alexander Consulting. So that is where my branding experience comes from. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story as we go forward. So first of all, I'm going to have to move this toolbar around as we go. So first of all, what is branding? So a lot of people go, well, I want to brand myself. I want to open a business, but they don't really think through all the steps and think through what they actually want to do. So branding is actually marketing. You're marketing yourself, you're marketing your business, and it's a strategy that involves creating a differentiated name for yourself. What makes you different from somebody else who may be doing the same thing that you are doing? So often that includes a logo and a tagline and different things like that, but you really want to create that presence in the consumer's mind and attract and keep customers. right? So I have a very quick video about branding. Okay, so I do like to show who made the video because it wasn't me. But if you looked at that video, I love that they said, you know, you make the brand. A brand is something that you want to instill trust in people that you have a quality product. And your visualization of your brand, which we will talk about, is super crucial. For some reason, even, you know, toddlers know that they want something from those golden arches. How they get to know that, we don't know, you know, but it's that branding part of it that when you see those golden arches, you know exactly what it is, you know exactly what you're going to get, you know if it's going to be quality or not, depends on if you like McDonald's. But that's the brand. You don't, they don't even have to put the word McDonald's under it for you to know those golden arches are McDonald's. So let's see, we have a, let me move this up.
Will be converted.
We have a chat question. Don't we remember great teachers from our childhood as somewhat of a brand? You know, the ones you remember by name. I agree. Because they have given you that quality, they make you feel a certain way. I like that thought. I agree with that. Okay. So moving on. So who is your consumer? That's the first thing you want to think about, is who is your brand targeted to? And you may say something like, okay, well, I want everybody to be my target. Well, that's a little broad. You're not Coca-Cola. Everybody's not going to be partaking in whatever you're trying to put out. So think about who is your consumer. Is it other teachers? Is that who you are trying to help? Is that who you actually want to consume the product that you're putting out there? Is it students? Are you going to create a tutoring program? Are you going to create something that you're going to market to students? Is it parents? Okay, that's a group that are not marketed to a whole bunch. So is it parents that you're going to market to? And hey, you can come here and learn about this or get help for your child or anything like that. Or is it the global community? So when we say global community, that is, are you going to market to education in general? So you may have a little, some products over here for students. You may have some products over here for parents. But when we say community, we don't just mean the world. Because if you're doing an educational product, for example, then you are marketing to the education community. You're not marketing to just the general public. So you want to kind of skim down who is my consumer. Then if you're going to do the general education population, you want to start with who is my first product going to be geared towards. So you want to take this in bites and nuggets, because if you don't, then that's when you get overwhelmed and you don't finish your brand. So who is going to be your actual consumer? So for Educator Alexander, which is my brand and my company, my consumer are other educators. I'm not geared toward parents. I'm not geared directly towards students, right? So everything is about making that teacher who they want to be. So that is my very specific target audience. Another target audience that people don't think about is slowly starting to become popular are educational leaders. So those are your principals and your magnet coordinators and your instructional leaders. There's not a lot specifically geared to them. Now, of course, they have books and things like that, but not just somebody saying, hey, here are some resources, here are some videos, here are some topics, things like that. So again, if you have any questions, just put it in the chat or unmute yourself and just talk. Okay, we're just having a conversation. So why brand yourself? A lot of people will answer this question and say, I want to brand myself to make some extra money. Sweetie, there are easier ways to make money. Okay, because if you're branding yourself, it's going to take work. So if you just want a little extra paycheck, you can go to Barnes & Noble and get a nice little part-time job. There are easier ways to do that. So when you look at why brand, why actually put a brand to it? Because you may say, well, I share a whole bunch of resources with educators. Why would I actually put a brand to it? Well, one is you want to establish your image. You actually want to get, I like to call it the umbrella. So if you're giving away this and giving away that, and people are like, oh, she's awesome over here, and oh, you're doing that too, you want to put it under an umbrella where people understand that all of these different things that you're giving out, all of these Twitter chats that you're doing, and presentations over here, and webinars over here, and teachers pay teachers over here, and handouts over here, they're all under that one umbrella. You're establishing, hey, this is the image that I want to put out there. And you can control your message. As educators, they tell us what we do so much, right? They tell us this is our worth, this is our value, this is what we do. But you can actually control your message with your brand. So let's see, we do have a comment. For leadership training, I highly recommend Dr. Fran Pullman, Transforming Schools. Thank you, Blanca. All right, so you get to control your message. And then you get to engage your stakeholders. So those people who are looking at you, those people who have a stake in you succeeding, that's, of course, you know, the people that are behind you and motivating you, but that's your audience too. I want you to be successful because I want whatever you're trying to give me. I want that help. So you get to engage your stakeholders and build that understanding and trust that, hey, I give good stuff. I have a good product. So that's why you're going to put that brand on it. So if I see that new handout come out and I see that little logo on it, I know, oh, this has to be a good handout because I know this brand, I know this logo. And you're also showing your value, worth, and skills. Okay, when you brand yourself and you go in for, let's say, a job, so we're looking at employability as well, it shows that you go above and beyond because you don't have to brand yourself. I mean, it shows that you're taking initiative. It shows that you have, that you understand your worth. You understand your value. That you're not just, I hear people say this phrase and it drives me crazy. I'm just a teacher. Like, what does that mean? You're devaluing yourself. No, you are a freaking teacher. That's amazing. So showing that, you know what, I know the value of what I'm putting out there. You're branding yourself to show that. When you do brand, you're going to be consistently self-reflecting, which is a good thing as an educator, of course. You're consistently saying, what am I doing? How can I do it better? How can I get the word out better? How can I better myself? It helps you get in that mindset, that growth mindset of constantly self-reflecting and constantly trying to better yourself. Okay, so Blanca added to her comment. You're also going to connect to your global peers. So it's no longer just going to be your PLN that's in person, but you're going to start sharing and learning from other people, which can open your world tremendously, like we're doing today. We have people from all over the country on right now. I'm all over the world that's on here right now. So that's awesome. So that's all good, Desiree. Where do I start? This is a chart that you can use, and if you look at the chart, it's going through all of the things that we're about to go through together. So this is a chart you can actually download from my website, and it's a template that you can use. And then this is another template. So it's just how your brain works. Do you want the circle template, or do you want the kind of drop down template? Well, we're about to go through all of this stuff that you need to think about for your brand. First thing is first, what is your goal? What is your vision, right? Why in the world do you want a brand? So some things you want to think about when you first say, yes to that. Yes, I want a brand, and this is why. What are your biggest strengths? What are you really, really good at? What are your passion areas? When I say passion area, that means if you were given $1 million today, what will you continue to do? That's your passion. It may not even be education. But if you were given $1 million today, what would you still continue to do? That is a passion. If I was given $1 million today, I would continue Educator Alexander. Money would go into that to make it even bigger and better and hire people, because that's my passion. So what are your passion areas? You don't want to brand yourself into something that you're lukewarm about, because it's going to eventually go away, right? So you want to brand yourself on something, whether it's education or not. You want to brand yourself into something that you are just so passionate about that you have to share it. Then what makes you unique? There are so many teachers that feel like everybody does what they do, and they don't. That is a falsehood. Okay, everybody is not up at whatever time. I don't care if it's noon, I don't care if it's 5 a.m., I don't care what time it is, but everybody's not sitting at their computer trying to better themselves and learning. Everybody's not doing what you do for your students. Everybody's not doing what you do for your parents. Okay, so what makes you unique? Think about that. And then, of course, like we talked about, you're going to determine your target audience. Once you do that, you know why you're doing it and who you're doing it for, then you want to start creating your communication plan. And that's what we're about to go through right now, is to do that. Okay. Another tip that you want to do is to research who is already out there doing what you want to do. Okay. Because there's not that many original ideas out there in the world anymore. Okay. Let's just be honest. My company deals with professional development. I am absolutely not the only one dealing with professional development, right? So who's already out there killing it in the game? Who's already out there doing it big? Who's going to be that person that you can look to and go, oh, that's a good idea? So see who's already out there and start connecting with those people. Honestly, some of them are going to be nice and some of them are not. Okay? So you're going to connect with somebody who, you may see their website and go, oh my gosh, who did your website? I love it. And, you may get responses like, oh, it's so-and-so. Let me send you their number. Or you may get, oh, my cousin did it. Their cousin didn't do it, but they don't want to share it with you. And that's fine. You move on with your life. Okay? But start connecting with those people, because guess what? You are building your PLN. And if you get those people who are in it for the right reasons, to be honest, they're going to share resources, because it's not about for example, with Educator Alexander, I have, you know, specific stuff that I teach, but it's not about them getting it from me. It's about them getting the information. So I'm going to pick on Blanca. If Blanca was also doing a classroom management class, I don't care if they get it from her or me. I just want educators to get it, right? So it depends on, so you want to connect with those people and check around and see if they can help you build your own vision. So let's see, we have a chat. It's not a competition, it's collaboration. Thank you, Blanca. So last thing you want to think about when you're looking at your visions and your goals is, where do you want to be in 5 years? Now, that's not the question you ask when you're a student and you're like, I want to be a lawyer and an astronaut. No, real life, real talk. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you want to be in your position that you are now? Do you want to be at a higher level? Do you want to roll back and maybe do something else? Where do you honestly see yourself? Do you want to be running your own company? Do you want to be running an awesome blog? Do you want to be running a website? What do you want to do, right? Asking yourself and taking a really hard look at that and saying, you know what, in 5 years, I want to have that degree that I've always wanted to get, or whatever. So think about that. Where do you want to be in 5 years? And that will really help you see, where do you want to take your brand. Then you want to think about the mood of your brand. When people come and they look at that website or that logo or whatever, what is the mood that they get from it? Is it very fun and playful? Is it very simplistic? And is it serious? Okay, and you can look at a brand and see that mood that they're trying to give you, right? So look at some of these pictures on the screen. You see this like earthy and natural, or the bold and quirky and fun. Whatever you do, it needs to be professional. Okay, we are all adults. We are no longer, you know, struggling college kids. So whatever you do, whatever brand you want to make, it needs to be professional. Also, this is not the time to vent. This is not the time to be negative, right? Because I've seen some brands that are pretty negative, and it's like, well, nobody really wants that. So this is not the time to make that joke about how hard teaching life is and all that kind of stuff. When you're putting out that brand, it needs to be professional. Nobody, now you can put that meme about having a bad Monday, but that's not what your whole brand needs to portray. So it needs to be professional. And then you want to look at, do you want it to be cartoony or do you want it to be real? So look at my apple on the screen. That's my logo. So I went with a more cartoony logo, or do you want it to be a real apple with your logo on it? So you want to think about that. Don't want it to be more of a real, like real life person, or you don't want it to be a more cartoony person. So you want to think about that as well. Symbol. So now we're getting more into the logo part, because the logo is your visual symbol. So you want to think about what symbol represents you. When I was first starting my brand, I love such like odd stuff. So I'm in love with Superman. I'm from Louisiana. I'm in love with LSU. So I had my logo. I love monkeys. My logo was a hot mess. It was the Superman symbol with a monkey in it, and it was like super monkey educator. I mean, I was trying to put all this stuff in it that I love because I wanted it to represent me. But the more important question is that second question on the screen. What represents what you're trying to accomplish? So more than representing yourself, what represents what you're trying to get out there? And so for me, the symbol that is universal for educators is an apple. Do I particularly love apples? They're all right, right? But that is the universal symbol in my head for education. So that's why the apple became my logo. So you also want to think about, when you're thinking about what represents what you're trying to accomplish, again, we talked about the cartoon or real, but you also want to think about, you want to keep it very positive. And I kind of spoke about that in the other slide. So look at the bottom part where it's talking about that visual imagery. You know, the Nike swoosh, the McDonald's arches, metaphors like the Energizer Bunny. He keeps going and going and going. So you want to think about different stuff like that. Like, what do you want that symbol to be? Let's see. Indian brands, yeah. All right, so then you want to think about, what do you want your name of your brand to be? So when educational branding first became popular, it was popular to have an outlandish name to set yourself apart. So you would be like Red Hat Librarian, and you would wear a red hat everywhere, and your picture would have you with a red hat. And that was really, really popular, to have kind of these big outlandish names. Right now, the trend for your company name is actually for it to be just your name. So like Desiree Alexander would also be my brand name, will also be my company name. So that's the trend right now. So you need to see, what do you want to do for your name? For my name personally, I move around a lot. Anybody that knows me, I've been a teacher, I've been a librarian, I've been an educational leader. I've worked at the district level, I've done different districts, whatever. So I've done ed tech, I've done a whole bunch of stuff. So I didn't want something to limit me in the future, right? So I didn't want to put librarian in there. I didn't want to put ed tech in there, because I do classroom management. I do educational leadership classes. So I didn't want to limit myself by my name. So I decided to go with Educator Alexander, because educator, I knew whatever I do, I'm always going to be in education. So I went with Educator Alexander because it was so broad that I could throw anything under that umbrella. I knew I wanted my name somewhere in it, but I didn't want Desiree Alexander to become a company. I wanted to still have Desiree Alexander just be me. And that was my personal preference. So you need to see, what do you want that name to accomplish? You can look at some examples. You can use your founder's name, like Hewlett Packard. Those are two different people that came together to create that. Describe what you do. What does Southwest Airlines do? They fly Southwest. It's in the title. You don't have to ask. You can describe an experience or an image. What does Sprint want you to think? They want you to think they're fast. Sprint, right? You can take a word out of context. Like Apple said, you know what? I'm just going to steal the fruit name. I'm going to steal it and just make it what I want to make it. So you can become pencil. Take it. Okay. So do like Apple and just steal a word. Or you can do like Google and just make up some jibber jabber. Okay. I don't know a time when I didn't know what a Google was. Right? So make up you can become jibber jabber. You can become that. And that can be your name. So you can just make up a word and that can be your company. Whatever you do, please check all social media to see if somebody has that name, and to see if somebody has a name that is very similar to that. Okay? So you don't want to become, Educator Smith, and then you go to Facebook and there's a porn star named Educator Smith. And you're like, oh, awesome. People are going to be confusing me with a porn star my entire life. So you want to make sure that it's not taken on social media, of course. And you want to make sure there's not someone already out there that has a similar name. So when you're looking up your name, you also want to look up different variations of spelling it. So let's say you do want to be Educator Smith. Also look up SYMTH, because somebody might be out there with that name. So you want to make sure to check that. I did do this session. I've done this session a whole bunch of times, but I did it in person once. And I had a lady come up to me literally in tears after, and I was like, what did I say? Because I make a lot of jokes, and I was like, I said something to make her mad. So she came up and she said, look, I have my business card. She showed me all her stuff, and it was all professional. And she said, but I looked it up, and there were 4 other companies. There are companies in other countries. I didn't even know what they did. And then in the language that she could speak, she was looking it up, and it was just like just stuff that didn't have anything to do with what she was doing. And I told her, I was like, I'm so sorry, you're going to have to change your name. And it was something like very generic. It was like ministries, global ministry, or something like that. And I felt so bad for her, but she understood what I meant by, you don't want to put your name into traffic and then you get confused with other people, and it doesn't make any sense. So please check all social media before you actually set your name, and then check your URL. So if you're going to become Educator Alexander, make sure educatoralexander.com is out there and you can use it, right? So those are some of the things to think about before you pick that name. Then you want to think about colors. What colors do you want in your symbol? Now, colors do have emotions behind them. So you can look up an emotional color wheel. You see I put, excuse me, 2 of them on your screen. So colors do create a certain emotion in people. So think about what color or colors you want to put in your symbol. And when you're thinking about colors, so look at my logo for a second. I thought I had 3 colors in my logo. I have like that maroonish purple, which is my favorite color. It had to be in there somewhere, and green. I'll, however, have 5 colors in my logo. I have purple, I have the maroon, I have the green, but I also have yellow, right, which is in the apple, and I have white. Because if you notice, I have that little shade of white. So if you're getting this printed, especially if you start getting it printed on materials, you want to think about how many colors, because usually the more colors you have, the more expensive that logo may be to print on stuff. So you want to think about that when you're looking at the colors you're throwing into your logo. And it looks like we have a comment or a question. And let's see purple and go. Woo, woo. All right, go ahead, love it. So yeah, purple and is there. I had to put it in there somewhere. All right, so your tagline. With your tagline, the purpose of your tagline is to tell me what you do in a couple of words. Especially if your brand name doesn't tell me. Like my brand name, Educator Alexander. It tells you I do something in education. Right? It may not be as explicit as Southwest Airlines, and it tells me you fly Southwest, but you know I do something. So if my name was Desiree Alexander, you definitely need a tagline. What do you do? Right? At least you know I do something in education. So if it's your name, it's going to help you with what do you do. Let's see, we have a comment or a question. And also, if it's going to look good in black and white. Yes, I completely agree. Most of them, if it looks good in color, even if it doesn't look good in stark black and white, it'll look good in the kind of moderated black and white. So most of them, you'll be fine with that. But you still want to look at it, right? And we're going to talk about logos in a second because we're not done with that. So with your tagline, it should be 10 words or less. This is not a mission statement. This is not a vision statement. It's a, hey, what do you do? Okay. So what does your brand do? Why does your brand exist? What makes it unique? So you want to think about that kind of stuff in your brand. In your tagline, sorry. My tagline is together we can, together we will. Because that's what I'm all about. Because I already told you I'm with education. So I didn't have to be as explicit in my tagline. So my tagline tells you why my brand exists. My brand exists for us, is for us to work together. We will do it. We can do it if we work together. So you want to think of what is your tagline. It should not be super long. Okay, it should be something that's pretty quick. Logo. So you're going to put it all together in a big old gumbo, and that creates your logo, right? So when you're looking at your logo, you want to think about certain things. What do you want to put in it? Of course, the mood, the color, the symbol. Do you want it real? Do you want it cartoony? All that kind of stuff. Do you want your website or your blog or a social media or something like that in it? Do you want your tagline to be part of your logo? You want to think about all that kind of stuff, like what do you want to put in it? But when you're looking at your logo, you want to get different sizes of your logo, and you're going to see what I'm talking about on the next slide. So I'm going to skip that. We'll talk about it on the next slide. So another thing you want to do is you want to have a transparent and a white background. So the white background is pretty easy to get, and I'm going to give you some tips of places you can go and get these logos for cheap. But you also want to have a transparent background. So if you look at the logo that's on the side of the screen, that's a transparent background. If I had like big white blocks underneath that and it was, on top of the maroon, that would just be ugly. It would be janky. So these are actual transparent backgrounds, which means I can put this logo on any color background is going to look good. So you definitely want to get, when you get a logo made, you want to get the white background and you want to get the transparent background. And whatever you do, you need to make it clean and professional. Again, we are not in college. You want to make sure that that logo looks professional, right? So when we're talking about different sizes, look on the side of the screen. So you see how I have a more box size that can fit in the corner, right? And it has my name underneath it. I also have a banner size. So that can fit like on the top of handouts and flyers and things like that. So you have your box size that can kind of fit in little small places. And then you have your banner size. And then you have your logo without the name. That's important because if you already have your name on everything, you don't want it to also be on the logo. So notice the logo on the side has no name on it. I don't need my name there 20 times, right? So you want to have that logo that's just the golden arches, right? Just the logo. And then you can start playing with like different backgrounds and things like that. But these are the things you need to think about. What are the different sizes of logos? And you definitely want to get that transparent logo and the white background. Let's see, I think we have a chat. Your website is awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll pay you later. All right. So you want to think about getting social media accounts. Even if you're not a big social media person, your company needs to be. Okay. Desiree Alexander only has Facebook. Educator Alexander has Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google+, Pinterest, YouTube, Periscope, Snapchat, and all kind of stuff that I don't even think I've ever used. Right. So the reason why I'm telling you to get these is because you want to get your name. So anytime something hot and popping and popular comes out, I create an account and I grab Educator Alexander, right? Because I want to make sure that I have my name. So in the future, if I do want to use it, I'll have my name to use it. So you want to make sure that you can grab your name on as many social media accounts as you can. And then you want to pick at least 2 or 3 to actually use a whole bunch. So my 3 are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Okay, so those are the 3 that Educator Alexander uses the most. So you want to have that presence. Another thing is you do not want to combine your brand and your personal. So I have people that will ask me, well, can't I just do it, under my Facebook that I already have? No, you cannot. Those are 2 separate things. So you want to create a brand account for your Facebook. You want to create it separately, or Twitter or whatever. It needs to be a separate account. Now, you can actually manage them under the same account, but it needs to be a separate account. Why? Because your brand should only be posting stuff about the content of your brand. That's it. Your brand should never post political stuff unless that's what your brand is about. It should never post anything like that, right? I didn't come to Educator Alexander to know how you feel about President Trump. I came to learn about education, right? So it should be, you should make sure that your brand accounts do not talk about any of that stuff. My personal account, my Facebook is all about The Walking Dead and this and that. I'm not going to put that on my brand account. My brand account is giving you some Google tips. Okay, so you need to keep that separate. Another thing is, like, even when something happens that's really bad in the world, right? Hurricanes and all these things. When something happens, Educator Alexander does not comment on it, but she may be silent during that time. So she's not going to sing out the Pray for France, picture. Desiree Alexander will, but Educator Alexander is not, because that's not an educational topic. But she's also not going to sing out, look at these Google tips while people are, hurting and things like that either. So Educator Alexander may just be silent at that time. Okay. So moving on, I have a lot of activity in the chat, which is awesome. I think people are talking to each other. I have a page for Facebook. I couldn't make a page for the company. It required a name for an account. Okay, so y'all are talking about that. Okay, yeah. Okay, so then you want to think about, do you want to do a website or a blog or both? Okay, you do need to have something. A website is more stagnant. You do it and then you just update a couple of pages. A blog, if you're going to do a blog, you need to consistently update that blog. So whether it be, 1 blog a month, or whether it be 1 blog every 2 weeks, or 1 blog a week, but you need to come up with a schedule. So if you're going to start a blog, you need to be ready to start a blog. Okay. So what you want to think about is what your URL name is going to be. So for me, Educator Alexander was obvious. That's what I wanted to get. And what you want to do, I'm going to skip to that third bullet. You want to purchase your domain. Okay, so for example, Weebly and Wix, we're going to go through a couple of these things that are helpful to use to do this kind of stuff. So Weebly and Wix are two really good, and Google Sites are three really good website creators. But you don't want to keep your site as educatoralexander.weebly.com for too long. Okay, so when you first get started, that's fine. But eventually you want to go ahead and purchase educatoralexander.com. It's professional. You're showing people that you're serious about this. And honestly, guys, purchasing a domain, it does not cost a lot of money. Sometimes you can get your website, the domain, like $1 for a year, and then you may pay $24 for the next year. It's not going to break the bank to do that. Okay. Then you want to look at whatever website account, and I'm going to look at the chat while I'm talking. Whatever website account, okay, so y'all are giving each other ideas. I'm loving you guys. Okay, so when you're thinking about the paid versus unpaid website account, what that means is when you go to Weebly, of course you're going to purchase your URL, so that's different, but do you need to pay for Weebly? So you can, or you need to pay for Wix. So you can decide that kind of thing, see what you get. You may get to like change your footer, things like that. So you can decide if that's worth it or not. Your URL you need to buy straight up, but whether to pay for the website account, you can decide that. Do you want to have advertisements? So you know how sometimes have advertisements on the side, and then if they click on those advertisements, you get money from it. I've seen advertisements done really tastefully, and I've seen it where it's all on the website. You can't even get to the content. So you need to decide for yourself, do you want advertisements on your website, blog, or both? Also, do you want to harvest email addresses? What that means is you're collecting email addresses of the people that visit your site. So you know when you go to a website and then something pops up and it's like, get this for free, put your email here. That's harvesting email addresses. There's nothing wrong with it. You just need to decide if you want to do it or not. My big thing is at the beginning when I first started Educator Alexander, I did not harvest email addresses. And then I started to think, well, I really want a way to connect with my audience. And I started a monthly newsletter. But I hate pop-ups. So I didn't want that thing to pop up after 2 seconds and go, hey, put your email here. So what I did is I created a bar that I just keep at the top of my website that you can sign up for the newsletter. So that was my way of harvesting without the pop-ups because I don't like the pop-ups. After a while, you want to start creating original material. So many teachers say, you know, they don't think they can create material, but they create handouts and all this amazing stuff, and they don't see it as original materials. Those are original materials. So you need to decide, do you want to give those away for free? Do you want to sell them? But start thinking about those materials that you make, all those handouts you have in those on the folders, on your desktop and on your My Documents. Think about those, put your logo on it, and put it out there for the world to use. Because guess what? Even if it's a box in the middle of a white paper, if you've already done it, I would like to get yours. Then I don't have to do it. Right? So if you're like, well, all it is some boxes, that's great. That's what I want. I don't want to do it myself. So think about putting that original material out. But notice I did say original material. So if you just Google something and downloaded it, that's not yours. Schedule your posts for those social media posts. You can use a couple of things that we're about to go through to schedule those posts to go out. So you don't have to be on Twitter 24 hours a day. You can actually schedule stuff to go out on your Twitter account and on your Instagram account, things like that. And then for PDFs, you want to, unless you want your people to be able to manipulate your document, you want to put your documents in PDF. Then once you start doing stuff that people are paying for, you want to start looking at doing a secure PDF. So you can use something like Adobe DC, and you do have to buy Adobe DC, and you can actually put a passcode on your PDF so no one can take it and manipulate it. Because I have Adobe DC, so that means if you put a PDF on your website, I can actually take it and turn it into a Word document and do what I want to with it, unless you secure it. Okay, so that's a little bit down the line when you start going like, well, I don't want to give it, like, I want to give it to you, but I don't want you to have it, kind of thing. And using Google for that is good as well, because you can make sure that people can't copy it and things like that. So with our last 6 minutes together, I'm going to go through the tips to get started, like today. When you hang up from here, you can also come to my next session. But when you hang up on here, go get started doing these things. Number one, get yourself a professional picture. That is not a picture with your ex-girlfriend cropped out. That's not a picture with the drink in your hand. That's not a picture with your dog, unless your dog has something to do with your brand. That is a professional picture, okay? Usually it's a solid background. I don't care the color. You're going to use this like more of a headshot. But get yourself, and it's not a selfie. Get yourself a professional picture. I did not say go to Sears and spend $300 on a picture, but get yourself a professional picture. A lot of teachers don't realize that if you are actually at a school that takes pictures every year, use that for your professional picture. Just come super sharp that day, right? And use that. Now you have a professional picture that you can use. Also, write yourself a professional bio. That bio should never have the word I in it. It is he and she. That is a professional bio. Desiree Alexander is the blah, blah, blah. She blah, 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 blah. She blah, 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 blah. Okay? So get yourself a professional bio and then get it in various lengths. Because my professional bio is pretty long, but not everybody can use that information. So I have some that's under 100 words. I have one that's just one line. So open up a Word document or a Google Doc, make your real professional bio, and then as you go and people say, hey, I just need 2 sentences. When you write those 2 sentences, add it to your professional bio document, and you'll have it at various lengths.
Desiree, I have a question about the professional photos, if you don't mind. So, okay, I don't like professional photos. I think they're really boring, and I think it depends on Black has said, it depends on who your audience is, as far as like what type of picture. But I'm really interested to know more about like when you should be using a more professional picture and when it's okay to put like, maybe not the picture of, your ex cropped out, but like a picture of you like mid-conference or like, doing like that's less just headshot. When are those distinctions, or do you have suggestions?
It depends on what are you doing, pretty much. So if it's like your website and things like that, I love action shots. I like to see you in action, see you doing stuff. If you're submitting it for an article or something like that, it's the more professional picture. And let me be clear, when I say professional picture, I don't mean you have to like, be doing this pose in the picture. Okay, it just means it's professionally taken. It's not just like you against the wall kind of picture. Because some of my favorite pictures are like when people are laughing or something like. But you want it to be professional. So that's what I mean by professional pictures. It doesn't mean it has to be that stock, like you holding a book kind of picture. Does that make sense?
I'd still like to know like where that kind of line is. I know like the action shots, I always submit action shots, and I have people, I'd rather have a headshot, and I'm like, I don't want a headshot because that's not who I am. And I understand like, oh well, that's but I mean, I'd rather have someone actually see who I am than me sitting there like. But I would like to know a little bit more. Like what do you claim is like, okay, this would be okay to have a more like relaxed picture, and then these types of conference or these types of submissions I do a more like, clear background face.
I'm going to be honest with you. Most people are going to want that professional picture. So I understand that you want to show who you are, but you may just have to do that through your brand. So if you are submitting for articles and conferences and things like that, most of them are going to want that professional picture. They're not going to want that live action shot. So you're going to have to do what they want you to do. So if they want that professional picture, make sure you have that. Now what you can do is submit that action shot and see if they take it. Or submit both and say, I would rather you use picture number 1, but if you have to use picture number 2, use it. So things like that, is what you can do. But most people are going to want that more professional picture than the action shot.
If I can just step in briefly. So I shared a link with one of the pages on my school's website. So there is the page that describes the theme has cute but simple enough and professional pictures. They don't have to be serious. So don't mix up serious with professional.
Exactly.
I think the point that Desiree is making is that you shouldn't take away somebody's attention from what your vision is to what your picture looks like. And then again, you use your action pictures to underline again the action that you take, the steps that needed to be taken in order to achieve some of your goals. So there's the line, I think. When I mean depends on who the audience is, maybe it depends on what the channel you're communicating through is. But when on the website, you have to have at least one of the serious shots so that people would take you seriously. Because if it all looks like a game, they think it's too easy, and they don't think there's what a serious work is behind it.
I agree. So, I mean, it really just depends on the situation. Now, on your own products, on your own website, on your own business cards, put that other picture on there. But when you're submitting for professional, publications and things like that, most of the time they're going to want that professional picture. So there's really no line. There's no clear line of, well, this is when you do it, this is what, there's no clear line for that. There's not an answer for that.
Yeah, I mean, we had this discussion when I was creating EdChange Global's new website. So we have, where we as the organizer are represented, we have our brief bios and our more or less serious pictures. And then our gallery represents the fun stuff behind it, the relaxed environment, that's the trademark of this conference. Everything else that helps people get connected emotionally to the product, so to speak, that's where you get a bit loosened up and have more freedom.
Exactly. So we are out of time. I'm just gonna
I have to
go through the I'm just gonna go because I have another session right now. So I'm just gonna just tell you one word about each one of these because we are out of time. So make sure that you keep your resume updated because some people will ask for your resume instead of asking for a bio. So make sure that you keep your resume updated, that you can actually keep all this stuff that I'm telling you in a folder so you can get to your professional picture, your bio, and everything and send it to people right on the spot. Also, anytime you present, make sure you have a description for that presentation. I don't care if you're only presenting to your school and nobody asks you for a description, create a description for that presentation and keep it all in a running document. You also want to have some type of evaluation so people can give you feedback and comments. Put your logo on everything. You are constantly promoting yourself, and that doesn't mean don't become that annoying person where somebody's telling you about their cat and then you bring up your company. Not that kind of constant promotion. But anything that you are putting out there should have your logo, you should be promoting. Get a Google Voice phone number. So you can just Google Voice. And that is a free phone number that you can use instead of giving out your personal phone number where they can track it and see where you live and stuff like that. You can get a Google Voice number. Do get professionally printed business cards. I know we're in the technology age, but not everybody is techie. So you want to have that very professionally, and don't do that thing where you print your own business cards or not in college. So get a professionally printed business card, physical business card, and hand them out. Okay, don't be, all I have is 500, then buy some more. Hand them out. And then Vistaprint is an awesome place to get prints. Weebly, Wix, Google Sites, awesome place to create websites. Fiverr is your secret weapon. Hootsuite and Buffer, and I'll tell you two more. Hootsuite and Buffer are your ways to schedule your social media posts to go out. If you've never used Fiverr, look at it. Fiverr. You can get logos printed. You can get all of your social media banners done. Everything you can think of can be bought on Fiverr. It used to be $5. Now it's $6 per item. And then some of them are a little bit more expensive. If you want a free gig on Fiverr, shoot me an email and I will send you a free gig on Fiverr. My website is educatoralexandra.com. If you can leave a comment on the website to tell me what you liked, that would be awesome. My email address is educatoralexander@gmail.com. Thank you so much. I know we ran out of time and we had good discussions. educatoralexander.com, educatoralexander@gmail.com.
Hey, Desiree, don't leave.
Yes.
So there's only like a couple people in your other room.
Okay.
Supposed to go, and there's a lot of people in here, so I'll get them to come in here, and you can just keep going.
Okay.
For your next session. How's that sound?
Okay, that's perfect.
Okay, so everybody sit tight. We'll be back. I'll be back in a second with more friends. Yay.
Okay, good. So now I can take questions. So does anybody have questions? Since they're going to be, I was like, oh, I gotta go. But does anybody have questions? And that was a really good, I think it was Irene who was asking. Those are really good questions about the pictures. Yes, the presentation is on my website. See, it's hard because everybody, we were discussing, so hopefully I didn't miss any questions on here. But just hop on your mic if you have a question, so that way I can actually get it. It's on my website. Let me get out of this presentation, go to the internets. So on the website, on educatoralexander.com, if you go to presentations, you can go to branding. And it is all here, including the webinars where I actually talk it through and I don't run out of time. The handout, this is the PowerPoint. The handouts are here for you to download. So it's all on my website, educatoralexander.com, presentations and branding. Let's see. Any other questions about branding before I switch over to Edmodo? And I think we may have some other people coming in for Edmodo. Any other questions about branding? Flipgrid. Yay, I love Flipgrid. She blinded me with science. All right, let's see.
I like that you know the song.
My musical tastes go everywhere. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure.